murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to this fantastic Steelers Monday, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
We're back for another episode of the Only Friends podcast. It's playoff time, and as you can see, I'm paying homage to the one and only TJ Watt.
Yeah.
He's down bad. He's down real bad. But there's hope. They downgraded him from grade 3 or whatever it is, which is a tear, full tear, to a 2, but I think that just means that he went in there and was like, yeah.
Is that a downgrade or an upgrade?
Well, I guess it's an upgrade. I think he just went in and was like, look, you guys are going to shoot me up with some shit, right?
Yeah, I don't care what this is.
Like,
he's not playing Sunday, though.
No, but they have his timeline for 2 weeks from now, which would be the AFC Championship.
Perfect.
I have a whole look. I don't know if you saw.
Oh, I saw.
Okay, but the script was leaked.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I think they got a couple of them wrong because as far as I can see, and granted, I only see things through the lens of Steeler football, but as far as I can tell, the Steelers are on a terrible towel revenge tour.
They really are.
Okay. So for those of you guys that don't understand, you don't disrespect the fucking towel.
You don't.
Myron Cope, Lord rest his soul, is rolling over in his grave as the Jaguars did the unthinkable and disrespected the towel.
I mean, it's a full display of fuck around and find out.
That's right. That's absolutely right. You want to know what their record was after disrespecting the towel?
Go ahead, tell me.
Landon, if you had to guess, you know what their record was?
The Jaguars' record after the towel?
After the towel incident?
1-6.
Very close. 3-6.
Oh.
3-6, bounced from the playoffs. They were the fucking they were leading the South. They're out. Okay. Now look at this motherfucker. They're going to get theirs. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
That's going to happen in the AFC Championship. I've already seen the script. The Browns Steelers are going to happen in the AFC Championship. We're going to roll right over them. Rudolph is carrying Santa's sleigh. Prior to that, though, last week the Ravens made the mistake. And now, granted, I don't know. It was the fans.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same. The Ravens kind of understand.
Yeah.
They're minding their business, but we got to do what we got to do.
We got to do.
The stands were the fans were stomping the towel in the stands rather. So we're gonna have them next week. I'm already looking past Buffalo. That's a non-factor.
Yeah, that game should be a easy
total non-factor as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, man. Just 10-point underdogs.
Yeah, I got him at 11.5. Shout out to Jeff Platt. He wants to do a double or nothing.
Wait a minute.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sharp as fuck.
What is this?
This is the projected script
for
of
you
of what the playoffs look like.
This is it.
The script was leaked. The NFL is just rigged, right?
Yeah.
You know this, right, Landon?
Of course.
You didn't know? You didn't know?
It's scripted out every year.
It's scripted for the Steelers to win.
Well, this year it is. It just It just so happens the 19th anniversary of them winning the Super Bowl from the 6th wild card seed is this year, and they're going to do it again now from the 7 hole.
Okay.
And
they're going to play the Lions.
So it's going to be a house civil war.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Corgasm.
Wait a minute. So if the Lions make the Super Bowl, does Corey get tickets?
No. Well, I mean, he might be on a list to be able to buy ahead of everyone else.
Right. For having seen tickets,
which would be nice because otherwise I'm going to be paying out of the ass to go see the Steelers.
You would go to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Where is it?
It's here.
It's in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. 19 years ago, it was in Detroit, which was a short 3.5-4 hour drive from where we were living in Erie, PA. But I was a broke post-college kid at that point. Said, I was looking at tickets. They were cheap. They were so cheap back then.
We probably could have got them for like $1,800. Yeah.
To go to fucking Detroit in the Dome. No one wanted to go.
Nope.
Steelers, Seahawks. Seahawks don't travel. It was like 85% Steeler fans.
Yeah.
Home game. Bettis retires on his home field.
Playoffs start next week?
Yeah, this week.
Well,
this week.
Right. Nice.
They do start this week.
Nice.
So, Matt, you guys did get a wild card?
We did it, man.
Okay.
We did it.
They're in.
We're in. We didn't even have to sweat the Buffalo game, which was
Thank
nice.
God we didn't.
I know.
That'd have been awful.
That would have been a bad way to go out.
Yeah, it would have been.
And you guys finished the season with 10 wins?
10 and 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot down the stretch.
Way-
1-3 in a row.
Way higher than the 9-win total that I bet Conrad.
Yeah. You know what you should have did was you should
have done, cuz.
you should have had like
Or the 8-win total.
yeah, like how many like above or below the line you got that many slaps.
Efro mentioned this in a tweet, and I think that this is a fantastic guy. I'm really taking the best
Maybe
of
next
it here.
year.
I think I'm really taking the best of it.
Yeah.
Because like no matter what the win total is, they always have the opportunity to exceed it by many games, I think. But they're never going to fall more than like one game under.
You wouldn't think.
So it's like I'm risking one slap to maybe win 3.
Yeah.
Hmm?
I like those odds.
Imagine just getting to slap Conrad in perpetuity.
You thought you were dead 4 weeks
You
ago.
could give him a combo.
Oh, we were dead. We were dead 4 weeks ago. But I
Yeah.
did mention
So
to Brian that as a lifelong Steeler fan and somebody who knows the NFL is rigged, this is what they do. They have you lose back-to-back games to a 2-win team and then lose to the down bad Colts that did not make the playoffs and then force you to beat 2 playoff teams. Well, RIP Seahawks, they didn't make it, but they were close.
B squad.
Yeah.
B squad Ravens.
B squad, well, you know, they don't make it that impossible.
Right.
They just make it so that it looks like you're dead, right? But then all the stars align. The Seahawks crumble down the stretch.
Concussion boy comes back.
Yeah, well, he never got concussed. Myles Garrett didn't actually land a flush shot with the helmet, you know? He kind of missed.
Shout out to JJ for the $20 dono.
My man, JJ, what's going
Money
on?
for a new towel after the Bills kick your ass.
Okay, okay, JJ,
Wow.
let's fucking relax. These New York hopefuls, man. I don't know. The Bills were in the midst of their own collapse.
Listen, the Bills are looking really good right now. I mean,
yeah, of all the teams to play, that was the one I wanted to play.
They really
least.
are. I mean, they won 5 in a row, and yeah, I'm with you. That's the team I wanted to play the least. But you know, we got what we got, and we're gonna have to go into Buffalo.
You get
and
what you get, and
yeah,
you don't
we're
get
gonna have
upset.
to run the ball a lot. Hope Josh Allen throws a few interceptions. He likes to do that.
You know what the forecast is, right?
Pain.
Najee lower.
No. Definitely Najee higher. It's they're calling for a snowstorm, 23 degrees, and like 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Perfect.
Yeah, like
Let's even it up real nice.
If ever there was a time where, like, there's very few circumstances where I think I would actually, and this is crazy for me to say because I do not like Mason Rudolph and I'm a big Kenny fan, but if ever there was a case to put Kenny back in, it's the game where you really don't need to throw the ball more than 5 yards. You know, it's just like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to certainly be handing the ball off. But look, I ride or die with Rudolph at this point.
Yeah, you got to.
I just, he's not my QB1.
Really?
Not next year, no.
Bro, come on. The
I don't
guys
know.
won 3 straight.
We'll see what happens.
doesn't
I mean,
matter.
if he wins a couple playoff games.
What do you
doesn't
mean it doesn't matter? You
It
guys have scored
matters.
more
I've
than
seen-
20 points for the first time in forever.
I've seen enough. I've seen this time and time again.
What have
I've
you
suffered.
seen?
I suffered through Bubby Brister. I suffered through Mike Tomczak. I suffered through. Look, I know I'm gonna get flack for this, but Neil O'Donnell. I suffered through Tommy Maddox. Like Mason Rudolph is all of them. He's the embodiment of the pocket quarterback that, when the line holds up and you're playing a 9-win team, he'll look fucking great. But like he ain't Aaron Rodgers. He's not. He doesn't have the it factor. And I'm not saying that Kenny necessarily does.
I don't know if Kenny does either.
I don't know if he does or doesn't, but there's a lot that's very similar to Ben's second year right now, you know, where he took him to a Super Bowl from the wild card spot. Ben didn't blow anybody off the charts that year. Threw for like 2,000 yards, maybe a little bit more, 2,500. You know,
I think we knew Ben was it when we saw him.
that's just because of the season. His rookie year, he came in and he was fire. But if you think back to the last 7 games of last year, Kenny was fire.
Right? Was he fire?
Yeah.
I don't know about all this.
What do you mean? He went 5-2 down the stretch. He was putting up numbers.
Yeah, I meant like his specific numbers.
His numbers were very good. He was like averaging maybe 220. I don't know for sure, but I would guess he was averaging like 220 a game. He threw, I think, seven or 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he wasn't afraid
He stopped turning the ball over, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, it came at the cost of throwing the deep ball.
Yeah.
He was throwing the deep ball a lot more last year. That's why we knew Pickens was legit. Anyway, I digress. we got our fandom out. I'm very excited for this weekend. Sunday 1 a.m. 1 p.m.
Is Rudolph starting?
We don't know.
But
I would assume
Pickett's back, like he's healed.
He's back.
We actually had another
Minka's
huge
back.
sweat yesterday. So as if everyone knows, the academy starts on Monday.
Oh yeah.
And when Berkey and I were putting the schedule together and looking at dates, we said, well, let's do it on we can't have it on the weekend because that's football playoffs.
Football, baby.
And the Steelers are definitely gonna be in the playoffs
For sure.
So let's just have
Lock
it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Not remembering that they now do this
So
Monday
dumb.
night wild
So
card
dumb.
game. And we're like, oh shit, what happens if they schedule the Steelers on Monday night during the academy? We'd have to cancel the academy. Sorry, everyone.
It's so stupid to play around with rest weeks in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like there's already only one team getting a bye.
Yeah.
And now you're shortening the week for somebody. Like Saturday, Sunday is fucking plenty. Relax.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to the manager. We do have a couple seats remaining for next Monday's Academy. If you guys are interested in that, head to academy.softwarewide.io or hit hashtag Academy in the chat. You can follow the link there, get all the info that you need. It's going to be a good time, had by all. Be sure to check it out. We have a great show for you guys today. Moving on from sports ball, we're going to be talking about these guys can't fucking help them. Actually, you know what? I don't think that's what it is at all. I think that it's the regs have finally opened their eyes. Like, I think a corner has been turned. Jeremiah was like the first step with this, I think. And then I think George kind of pioneered it as well, where they're no longer... I don't think that the winning regs online are taking the stance any longer of site security is being massively blown out of proportion. These games are all safe and very beatable. You guys don't need to glamorize the one-off cases where some cheating occurs, right? I think that they've all finally turned the corner and just said, like, fuck me.
Yeah.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
And there's a lot of people trying out there.
A lot of people trying. So we have a lot of topics today. We're going to cover the ACR 100K bounty bot scandal or lack thereof or canceled contest, however you want to put it. Rampage goes on a rampage yesterday, also directed at ACR. We're going to talk about what happened there and what they did to rectify it.
Ethan versus ACR.
That's
It's
right.
a new one I didn't expect in my bingo card.
Patrick Howard discovers a potential collusion ring on Ignition. We're going to talk about that. Reddit posts a PLO RTA video in action. We're going to demonstrate that. This is kind of an older story, but we're going to follow up with it as there's been more ramifications. A streamer was busted straight RTAing on stream. He was literally just using Wizard on the same, like not even on a second screen, just like no big deal.
Did he think
Don't know.
We don't know.
Impossible
He
to
thinks
know.
that like, oh yeah, this isn't on this. They're not seeing this, or is
Probably.
he just like,
We'll show
I'm
the
just
clip.
gonna. This is fine. I can just do this.
We'll show the clip for everybody to know. We'll talk about Stars' response to that. And then finally, there is this weird video surfacing of people colluding and I guess botting multiple tables on Club GG and some of the other apps. So we're going to dig into that as best we can. People, stay safe out there.
It never ends.
Let's just start with that.
Stay safe
we
in the
not
streets.
carve out a time slot for the Bass Pro Shops guy?
Oh my God, I want to so bad, but I don't know how to do it without showing. Granted, he doesn't really have a dick,
Yeah,
as far as I can tell. I saw one post that said, "This
nothing to worry
motherfucker got a." Never mind.
Yeah.
A vagina. But did you see his wife's response?
No.
I should have sent it.
No, that was a parody, wasn't it?
I don't know. That's why I didn't send it.
Oh, okay.
But it might have been a parody.
Yeah.
It was hilarious if it was. For those of you guys who don't know what's going on, a man apparently walked into a Bass Pro Shop over the weekend, stripped ass naked, and dove headfirst into the aquarium. There's a giant like life-size aquarium when you walk in with like bass floating around. And he's just in there swimming, going, "Come and get me!"
Yeah, the cops were already there.
Yeah, it was
and he
incredible.
just
Came and
decided to
got him.
strip. Yeah.
Oh, I did send you another link though. Did you happen to catch the one of the guy who got caught in the vase?
Oh,
He got drunk and he put himself into a life-size urn and then couldn't get out.
Christy Yamaguchi.
Wait, what?
I thought it was a tweet by Christy Yamaguchi.
The ice skater?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I feel like that's not true.
Yeah.
That would be random.
Maybe it would be a parody account of some sort. Man, everyone's in the muck this weekend. You know, the only people not in the muck are Steeler fans.
Yeah.
We made it out alive,
Yes,
but
we did.
drunk people be swimming in fish aquariums. Drunk people be climbing into urns. Man, what a weekend. Online's in the muck.
Oh man.
I guess I'm in the muck too. Let's talk about it. Maybe.
Yes.
That's you. That's your cue.
He was locked in.
All right, so I have a mucky-esque spot from this past weekend, and I think that the best way for me to frame it is that there isn't much to discuss when it comes to theory. I'm pretty confident that the Wizards are going to say this one's just fine, but there's a lot of meta taking place here, and I guess I want to discuss about how live reads can really send your ass into the muck when you don't really trust yourself, or you just have too much of a hand to kind of trust yourself, and that's a little bit of what happened here. So we'll get into it. Situation is such that we're playing very deep. Folds to Oaken in the hijack. He opens to 300. Usual 3-bet size for me is going to be somewhere around 10 big blinds, so I usually make it 1,000. But Oaken and I have like a lot of meta, and we're playing really deep. So being able to leverage position against somebody who like doesn't fold often enough to 3-bets is just reason enough to kind of ramp it up a bit. So I think I would play like 2 3-bet sizes here to give everybody a bit of a clue. And I would just like mix my good hands into both. So I have ace queen of clubs here he was the low jack, I was the hijack. And I choose the 3-bet to 1,500, which is very large, but I think very justified. Mm-hmm. Now, the big blind is a VIP in town just for the weekend. For those of you who've been watching the show consistently, he's the man that I played the all-in pot for. It was like 120K pot where I had ace-5 of hearts and accidentally tabled the 5 pre-flop.
Oh, yeah.
Legendary hand.
Legendary hand. Feel free to go back and look and find that hand. It was sometime in September, I think. So the reads here are that he likes to go hard. He goes really hard with 7 deuce specifically, but like he's not super out of line. So
Is the 7 deuce on?
7 deuce is on. The bounty's not very large. It's only $300 a person, so it's a total of 21 big blinds if you win with it. We're 8-handed. So like you don't really usually give much credence to 7 deuce in 4-bet pots because the risk reward just kind of isn't there. But my guy likes to table his bounty hand. So I actually think he has like a pretty reasonable 4-bet range, like relatively snuggish, because he cold calls 3-bets a lot, which means I think we can eliminate a lot of the middle. But then there is the fact that he likes to go hard with 7 deuce. So he makes it 5K, and this is where the meta kind of comes in. Oaken obviously folds. I have a really good hand here with ace queen suited facing a cold 4-bet. And in theory, this is always going to be a pure call.
Right.
You're just never going to do anything else.
Offsuit, you fold.
In theory, you would fold. But in practice, I might do some other things. Now, the issue is that I had a feeling, I don't know that I had like a specific read. Like I didn't necessarily see, an increase on heart rate or a twitch of his nose or anything along those lines. But like there was something about his presence where I felt like he was incredibly weak. And at that point, I kind of just I assigned him a lot of 7 deuce. And I was trying to figure out what the best way to navigate this is moving forward. In hindsight, like I think jam is maybe an option.
Yeah.
But
Landon didn't like that.
As played, I choose to just call.
Hand too good?
Hand too good, and he's polar, right? So why would you want him to fold all the bluffs and then just like snap you with value?
Yeah,
that's true.
I think that's fair.
You just let him play with a 7 and a duck
out
of position.
That's true.
So we do let him play with whatever his range may be.
With potentially a 7 and a duck.
And the board comes Jack 7-7-2 club.
Well, it's unlikely that he has 7 deuce now.
Right. And So we face a 60% C bet. He bet 6K into 10. And this size to me felt like a little bit wonky given the SPR. So he's going to have like 75% pot behind. Actually, he had a little bit more. The turn jam was for 23K. So I misrepresented his stack here. So once I call, there would be 20. He'll have about pot behind. So about 1 SPR.
You probably just jam this.
Right. So I would usually, especially against a sizing that I think is like a little bit maybe off, a little bit incorrect.
Have to run your equity, getting jammed on the turn.
Correct.
Brick is really bad.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree. But his energy went from very weak to very strong.
The aura went strong.
Something about like the way he cut his bet, the way that like he was just handling chips. I was just like, I am fucked. He has 7 deuce here a lot.
Oh no.
Like actually there was my initial instinct was like, man, I think he flopped jacks full somehow. Like maybe I was just reading like into
would he go
his
60% with jacks full?
Well,
so I dismiss it. So I initially was like, man,
Yeah.
I think maybe he flopped jacks full, and maybe I was just like overestimating what he felt his weakness is just being like nerves because he has jacks. But then I was like, wait a second, he bet 60% pot. Like that's never jacks full.
Right.
And then I was like, damn, man, I think I'm against 7 deuce. Like I'm just gonna peel, and unimproved, I'm just gonna muck to a jam.
do you guys run it once, twice?
No, twice.
Yeah, I think I'll just jam in it twice, probably.
Yeah,
Like this is a
I
real,
don't
this
think
is
running
really,
it once
this
or
is-
twice makes a difference.
It's a very, well, I just mean like it's a very cringe spot now.
Right, but like, okay, well, we'll get into the analysis after the fact. So the turn's a 10. He jams for pot.
Mm-hmm.
I improved, so I have no choice. I call it off, and he does in fact have the 7 deuce suited.
It just fills up on the river just in case.
Well, just in case. We ran it twice. I don't remember what the rivers were. They were just red and didn't include a king. So I lose twice. Now, from the vantage point of like jamming flop versus not, my thought process was that I could make a pretty exploitative fold on the turn, unimproved. And I would potentially even fold if I made a pair. Like turning a 10 to me is better than making a queen or an ace.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Right.
You have more outs to win, yeah.
Right. So if he still jams an ace, I think that I probably just like hero fold. Because
you could still win though.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I guess
Folding an ace feels gross.
it feels it's impossible, right? Like
You probably wouldn't do it in game, you probably think about it after.
maybe because truthfully, if I'm folding a hand that increased my showdown value, I should also fold on a card that increases my equity.
Yeah.
Right? Like the 10 doesn't improve my equity that much.
Right.
And now he could potentially have ace king of diamonds that he's jamming as a bluff. But that works the other way too, where
That
if like
fucking wrecks you.
right. But that works the other way too if the turn's an ace and he just has like ace king suited, whatever. So let's take a look and see what the wizard has to say before we have a back and forth a little bit about like how the meta works here.
Yeah.
You did it.
Okay.
No surprise. The wizard likes all of these decisions. So his flop size is just like a bit of a hedge. He kind of chooses both. He chooses B40 and B75.
You just like added some low frequency 7 deuce off.
I gave him all the 7 deuce suited, or 75% 7 deuce suited, and then just a tiny little sliver of 7 deuce off.
Sure.
But I probably could have just given him all 7 deuce. Oh, I did give him all 7 deuce suited. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if he goes this hard, but whatever. And I also gave him like a bunch of sporadic low frequency stuff that maybe doesn't exist. Like he just cold calls so much of this stuff is the thing.
Yeah, it's a very not like 10-8 suited cold foring.
Yeah.
Big blind. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of be a little bit more.
Yeah, we can take the paintbrush here. I think. Well, I mean, we say his range is polar pre, right? So you get to remove some of that stuff, and then you have to have like the pairs, like 10s plus.
I just think he cold calls so much that like we can very comfortably take all this stuff out.
Can you explain what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I'm basically just like altering his range to be a little bit more reflective of what I think he 4-bets.
Small pairs, Sure.
There's no small pairs.
No, I'm saying there was, right?
No, those are suited connectors.
Stuff. Okay, got it.
But I think you're right that we can just take those out.
Yeah, like 9's probably cold call.
Yeah, like I've just seen him show up with 9s, 10s, those types of hands. So I give him half of each.
Sure. You can probably remove full like the ace jack off, Broadway, king jack off.
So we're moving towards jewel ranges.
This is definitely well, it's just standard 4-bet ranges in most spots.
That's
cold
way
4
too
range.
wide for jewel ranges.
Like a cold 4 range should be extremely tight. Like you're not incentivized to put in chips in the pot. You're playing out of position. You're mostly gonna get called by the 3-better. You're gonna want to be suited dense versus offsuit. So like king queen suited is like a pure like in this situation, like in Bobby's, people probably choose that. But this guy sounds like he's the kind of guy to cold call king queen suited versus 4-bet it.
Yeah,
because it's very uncomfortable to get either jammed on, or have to play a 5-bet pot when you could have just chose to cold call and flop yourself flush draw or something.
Yeah, I think this is a lot more reasonable. So a lot of upper left type stuff, and then the outliers.
Ace queen is like a good 4-bet bluff hand that people kind of find too. Calling with it seems kind of bad, even though you're supposed to fold, but people don't want to fold ace queen offsuit pre, and I understand.
Yeah, that I think
it's a good
is
hand.
Reasonable to not cold call.
It's a good hand.
So let's see if the wizard still agrees with my analysis. Okay, yeah, now he just gets to start range betting, so he just doesn't check any longer, but the sizing's still the same. So he kind of hedges and just goes in between, and if he's range betting, that's probably just fine, even though it felt a little bit wonky in game.
He can range bet because all of his bluffs have effectively made a really good hand. So his bluffs are high card equity. Right. It's hard to have them, or just over pairs, which are worth a ton.
Yeah, so let's assume he's playing a single size range bet here for 60%.
You probably have a jam up versus this.
100%.
Yeah, I think so too.
Jam.
No, 60%.
Find it.
I'm saying
that's what range bet means.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
This is your response?
this is my response. So ace queen of clubs does a little bit of jamming. The rest of it does some calling. But we knew that.
Yeah. We did. We've known.
It's
ace 10 is the spicy one. Ace 10 is where you have the under to the jack, you want to take your equity.
Yeah.
Pure jam.
Yeah. So we do play call. Turn is the 10 of diamonds, bring backdoor flush draw. I can't fathom a world where we don't call off for pot. So he actually plays two sizes here, jam and not jam.
Right.
So it's basically the 7 deuce that plays not jam.
Hand too good.
Yeah. Which is kind of ironic with 2 flush draws out there, because I guess I'm going to be low equity dense, but he also has like 10s that play not jam. So that makes sense too. Jacks want to play not jam. Like he just has some hands that are way too good.
Yeah, sneak traps, and then they have like the jam is overpair value.
Yeah, but I think he could probably simplify those to like mostly checking and then just playing jam with a lot of the rest of range.
Jam, overpairs, check, boats, or 7x. But.
Well, yeah, like jam some 7x, check some 7x, that type of stuff. In any event, ace queen of clubs. Wow, it actually mixes. Yeah. I'm surprised to see it mix.
Not fun.
Yeah.
The issue is you're just fucked.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so that I think carries a lot more weight to what I was kind of insinuating from the meta standpoint. If this is 0 EV in theory, then I think in practice I could pretty happily pure fold here.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, because they're not going to have the shoves that they should
just
have.
Specifically because it's Jack 10 7 7. If it's Jack 7 if it's Jack 6 6,
yeah.
I think that also I think the solve will change, right? If we remove 7 deuce from his range, I think that ace queen of clubs never folds. And it's kind of the same thing. If 7 deuce misses and now he still has it in full as a bluff instead of trips,
right?
I have a really natural call off here with a hand that's almost like trapping. Like I would almost never jam Jack 6 6 2 clubs with ace queen of clubs, because he can just have 7 deuce that
you don't want to let him off the hook.
Right, like turns a club, I make the nuts, and he just rips 7 deuce red. And we just stack him in that regard. So I think this is a really unique spot where my spidey sense is worth a lot of money, and disobeying it probably costs me a lot, because I'm probably not 0 EV on turn versus that jam range.
But you might have a plus EV spot on flop to jam specifically on Jack 7 7. If we're trying to find ways to fold now where we think 7 deuce is still existent.
What would make it plus EV if his range is so condensed to value?
Yeah.
If it's realizing your equity doesn't increase your EV.
Yeah.
Right? We turn more equity on the turn, and it's still basically giving us $0.
If it's Jack
I would if we're just treating ace queen like ace 10, right? Where ace 10 is a pure jam, because you just want to realize, and you can't play a position where you call and then get jammed on and lose your equity.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the reason why you want to flat ace queen is because you have the overs to the jack. If you look at his range, that bets the flop. If we can hover back to the flop, there. Like there's ace jack suited, which we can still beat at some potential. Jack 10 suited as well. Like before we see a 10 on the turn, of course.
Right.
Where with ace 10, you get fucked if that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to jam ace 10 just in order to... your hand's not as good as ace queen. Like the 2 overs are worth a lot. But if we're thinking that even if we hit an over, it's not good.
Right. It basically becomes the same as ace 10 or ace 5.
You kind of class it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of has some good blocking properties too. Like blocking queens is nice.
Yeah, that's true.
Like sure, sometimes he has kings, but the game is the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Getting him to fold ace king is great.
That's true. Yeah, it's a very weird spot.
Yeah. And it still mixes jam on flop anyways.
Right, of course. I don't think it's a debate whether or not we should. It's just more so like if I trust my spidey sense, then he no longer has the ace jacks, the ace queens, the ace 5 suited. Like he doesn't really have. If my read is right that he went from weak to strong, then he doesn't have marginal hands any longer. He's just queens plus and 7 deuce.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, like now I'm kind of fucked by putting a lot of money in.
Yeah, there is a fun heuristic at this SPR when in position or out of position chooses like a big bet, like call it greater than B50, and you have stack or pot to play behind if you call, you just rip your nut flush draws with unders to the board.
Yeah.
Like always.
Yeah,
it's a thing in MTTs, it's a thing in cash, and this is something I literally learned like
it's a
week
byproduct
ago.
of the SPR being small though.
Correct. SPR being small, getting jammed on turn sucks if you brick. You just have to run it.
Yeah.
You just have to run it. I didn't know this one. Like
these spots get really interesting to me when SPR is like 4 instead of
where you don't play pure jam.
Yeah. Or sorry, even a little bit deeper. So in this situation, like the SPR is just sub 3, where the reason why it's choosing 74% is because that's 2E. These spots get interesting to me when the SPR is like double.
So 2E is like
110, 125, something like that, but people just don't choose it.
No.
So then they still bet the 75% type of sizing, and you're in no man's land. Because you could still get jammed on the turn.
You can still get jammed on the turn, but you're risking a lot if you jam yourself
Exactly. And then you just kind of, in most instances, you just settle on the fact of like, well, if he 2x pot jams turn, I just have to live with that. I'm not going to make money. Like, I'm just not going to be able to realize my equity with this type of holding.
Well, yeah, because now you're winning too much money when you have value.
Kind of.
And potential draw is not the same as a set.
Yeah, just trapping is hard.
Poker's fucking hard, man, because the way you actually make money is by having good hands in spots like this. Like the counter to someone putting in too much money is just having a good hand.
Yeah, I'll tell another hand history, a bonus in the muck, if you will,
which is sad.
We're not going to run it on the wizard or anything, but just I already without running it, I already know it's an error in position, or at least I think it is. I cold 4-bet ace jack, cut off button small blind. So cutoff opens, button 3 bets. I cold 4 ace jack from the small blind. Button calls. It comes jack 8-3 rainbow. I see bet like 40% call. Turn is the deuce of spades, bringing backdoor spades. I've read ace jack, and we have 1.3x pot. I rip. He then folds 7-8 of spades for pair plus draw.
Yeah, that probably doesn't happen.
No, that should. I'm pretty confident that should be a call.
Yeah. He just has enough equity. Like you're gonna have some bluff jams with flush draws.
Plenty of bluff jams.
I would assume that your size is probably not supposed to be jammed for 1.3, but at the same time, if he's folding that hand, it's good.
Yeah, I was a little uncertain in game, but without going into details, especially because I'm sure he watches. Like I have a very specific, what I believe to be understanding of his range. And it was one of those situations where it's like really tough to drag out value.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun game where like you guys are playing such high stakes where cash game ICM is kind of real. Where like you play this pot, you jam for a lot of chips, where you don't really want to face a spooky river, call it like a spade, call it like an overcard.
Well, 2E's like really weird here, like 45% pot, and then you get called.
What you're going to do is you're going to go a little bit bigger because like you're going to go a size that you can bet your bluffs and then call off if he jams on you.
Yeah.
So you're not going to go 40, you're going to go like 70.
Like 75, yeah.
Right. So this is a spot where you just try to front load the equity, where it's like in tournaments or games where it's like, oh, I'll just rebuy, it's fine. But now you're playing like 50K pots where it's like, I just can't put myself in positions to lose X amount of money in some cases.
No, you can. It's just that it doesn't work. because there's no ICM, because there's no tournament life or anything along those lines, it just becomes a game of math. Like the game is the game, you know? So if I bet 75% pot and I leave like, you know, quarter pot behind or whatever,
it's nice.
It's just implied, right? Like
it's implied that you're all in effectively.
Yeah, for the imposition player, he's basically calling 75% to win 2 pots or a little bit more, 2.3 pots.
Because now he's in this spot where it's like, oh, if I call, he's just going to jam the river on me.
Why does it make it nice?
Well, in the sense of like you need to make him continue with hands that would fold otherwise. Like hands that would be indifferent versus jam or like pure fold now have to play a call.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, that's kind of like the nice part about choosing the size over like a jam.
Yeah. It's nice if you're talking about like targeting hands like 10s and 9s.
Well, yeah, because your value is going to drive your range here, and you're going to have ace jack plus.
Right. Yeah.
And you're making them be really mad with.
Yeah, I'm just saying like we're honing in on a very small fraction where there are a lot of.
It's a 4-bet pot.
Yeah, it's just like the floats are so fucking wide, man. Like there's a lot of those backdoor spades in there. There's a lot of 9-10s in full. A lot of like, you know, queen 10 type holdings. And I'm not saying that that's bad to have those.
Right. It makes it kind of nice for us to do that then, because they're going to have so much of these hands that should fold flop because of the potential barrel on the turn that makes them very upset.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right. So in conclusion, with the hand that we did cover for In the Muck, the Wizard is indifferent on my play. And I am not a fan of my play because I was right in my head and wrong in my action. So I think that, you know, the large takeaway that I was trying to get across is that there is something to be said about putting weight into your observation. Now, granted, you don't want it to be the end all be all, but like when you're really close in between decisions, I think it's worth like examining. Because like flop, I would just naturally jam.
Yeah, that happens a lot though when like you and I disagree on stuff, and most of the time it's kind of mixed. Or there's a mix of sorts. It's like, oh, I guess. The machine agrees with that.
We're doing a lot of customing when it comes to the ranges too. If he's wider, then my hand's gonna play pure.
The machine's kind of like Switzerland in that way.
Yeah.
Like you look at call HRC sims, you look at like post flop stuff, and you're just like, okay, this hand mixes probably. I think it jams. I think it doesn't. It's in the middle.
Yeah.
We're all somewhere.
It does let you off the hook a bit.
It's kind of weird because it's like at some point, is it cope or is it real?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's. I mean.
Like the one hand you played against Brian Oken, where you had 10-9.
Which one?
It was the one where like he bet a big size and then you jammed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you looked at it and it was like, oh, like he's actually, like the size is actually correct.
No, it was 9-8, but yeah.
Sorry, 9-8.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I do this and I do this and I look at his range like this, then like my play becomes good. And then it could be true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, we've all used solves the cope before.
I mean, there is a lot of like wonkiness in the sense that like the hand that you're referencing, it was stand up, it was blind versus blind, it was a limp raise pot.
When's the solves going to come out for that?
Right. Yeah. It's just like, you know, there's a lot of meta
stand
stuff.
Up solve.
Yes. Stand up solver.
There's a lot of meta that is very difficult to measure. So, you know, most spots that you're looking up when you're looking at live hands, and this is what makes live so beautiful, is most spots that you're trying to replicate in a sim are just made up. They're just completely made up. So all you're really doing is trying to find where the lines are so that you're not constantly coloring outside of them.
Yeah, you're trying to find the pattern.
Yeah.
Like online is very, very rigid in a lot of ways.
Right.
I mean, especially if people are trying to cheat or have bots or stuff like that.
Well, don't fight fire with fire, kids.
Yeah.
You know, maybe let's get out there and do some little 8xing pre.
Like, oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool actually.
Yeah.
Let's 5x.
Yeah, let's get your 5x ranges out there. You know, maybe start limping. Limping's pimping. You know, let's.
Weren't you doing something in the super high roller cash game that was like a little bit off?
Cash game?
I don't know if it was a cash game. It might have not been cash
During
game.
Super High Roller Bowl, I did a lot of limping.
You were pimping?
But that was, 2016. I was the king of limping back then.
That
was what I was known for in tournaments.
Where was D-Negs on that pimping list?
I don't know.
Was he high?
I don't think he was doing much of the limping back then. It's so funny because I think my image has always been one that is like overly aggro, and I think that people equate that with taking aggressive action at all nodes. But a lot of what comes with being aggro is being able to kind of work the ebbs and flows and hit them where they're not looking kind of thing. So like limping was a way for me to aggressively play more hands. And all I mean by that is like it was a way for me to widen my ranges without over investing into pots. And I only used it in MTTs because stack depth and SPR was so critical to manipulate.
Also, people were very unaware of how to function against a limp.
Right.
You probably got a lot of limp jams through that.
Tons.
We've got limp call from action from hands that are probably losing infinite.
I would get ISO by like ace-7 off in the hijack when I limp under the gun.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. But also I would just get to play 12 blinds in a very unique way where I wasn't all in or folding. Right? Because people got decent at push fold.
Kind of like Helmuth.
Yeah, but it was
probably
different.
a big limper.
It was different because he would limp like, he'd be the type to limp like ace-jack suited, get ISO'd, and then think that like they only can have better if they're
And
ISOing. And then fold because like it's so obvious when I limp into the pot off this small stack that I have a good hand. Where it's like I was in the run it mode.
Yeah.
If I was limping ace-queen, it was to shove always. If I was limping fives, it was to be all in. And you're basically just like trying to carve in between like the traps, the jams to realize your equity, whatever, basically having a complete range. I don't want to get too into it. Maybe it makes,
you don't want to toot your own horn too much.
It might come back around. I've been sitting on this strat for 10 years. Maybe it becomes good again.
Bring hashtag make limps great again.
Right, yeah,
make limping pimping again.
We don't want to get too into the weeds here. Yeah. I do want to discuss one more thing of positive note that I kind of glossed over, but the WSOP made a correction after a lot of public pushback and I guess people supporting the cause or championing for the cause. Shout out to Ash Kardash who kind of started the wave on this. They changed and gave a positive response when it came to updating their circuit schedule. They're now going to work with every venue to ensure that they can get women-only events up and running. The statement from the article that writer Jen wrote was, recently we made a poor decision when limiting the number of official WSOP ring events at each stop to give each operator increased discretion in selecting events with local demand. So to dissect that sentence a little bit, what happened was they reduced the number of total ring events that any stop could run, which forced the tournament director to use discretion and run events that would be popular. Because like in the past, you could travel a circuit, play an 08 event that had like 24 runners and just win a ring.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
I
like
think
Conrad won a ring, kind of.
Right. Yeah, in the PLO half.
Don't out Conrad like that. He won that ring fair and square.
Sure,
well, he did.
Tiny
He just won it in the PLO where he like maxed late
it was PLO. It was half PLO, half
there were
Hold'em.
3,000 runners.
There were not.
There was 30.
There was 30.
1,000.
It started at like 8 p.m. and was over at midnight.
Yeah.
So effectively, they wanted to create demand for larger fields, but in the process, that meant that most operators were going to eliminate the ladies events because it just made sense to have open field events rather than restricted ones. So the statement goes on to read, it was never our intention to see the number of women-only events reduced. We are working with all host partners to be sure that beginning with Harris Cherokee, each remaining WSOP circuit stop in 2024 includes a women-only ring event pending regulatory approval in each jurisdiction. We hope our female poker community comes out and supports these tournaments. So the approval aspect is every local governing body will be a little bit different. So like in Nevada, I don't think you can technically have technically a man could register for a women's only event. So the way they get around it is charging 10x.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it varies state to state, but in any event, this is a positive response from, again, the community kind of being heard. And this is like an ongoing theme that I think that we can kind of lean on a bit as, podcasters, as members of the industry, as people who are kind of pushing the operators' buttons a little bit to be heard and to get change taking place. Twitter, for the cesspool that it is, it really does kind of force a lot of these narratives to the top and make operators start to pay attention where otherwise we didn't really have a voice. And I think that it's like nice to see situations like this where there is a response and it's relatively quickly. Not quite the same response that we got out of Nagy and crew from ACR, but here we are.
That was interesting.
It's a response.
Mm-hmm.
What was interesting about it? Landon?
Like, hey, we got a bot challenge. Hey, just kidding. Don't make something to take money from the economy. But if you do, We're not going to pay you for it.
You weren't here last week, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on all the things that happened
On Botgate?
Yeah, Botgate 101.
I mean, we've all known that this has been potentially possible for a long time. I mean, Ruben was kind of one of the guys that was talking about the Belarusian bots.
How happy is he right now?
Dude, Ruben is not punching air right now.
This is facts.
That's a happy guy. Yeah, so it just depends on like I saw like you guys put in the podcast assets like Soheb tweet about going on strike and like not playing on sites like this anymore and trying to do something economy based. But then we know how that could work, where the winning players will win less a little bit potentially because there's less losing players in the pool.
Almost certainly, yeah.
But if there's overlay, then they're going to be winning by default. So now there's that back and forth. But yeah, it just kind of makes me realize that some of these tournaments, like we already knew bots was happening, but it's like to what extent is it actually an issue?
Right.
And I think people are more aware that it's a bigger issue than they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought that
10 million's a lot, man.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it was over some period of time, but I think if I recall correctly, the number that they took just in 2023 was either 1.7 or 3.7. Either way,
it's a lot.
Either way, it's a lot to take out of the ecosystem.
Yeah,
I got wrecked on ACR last year. You just Cope bought it, but you don't get money back. There's no money back for anybody.
So there will be, or at least that's what this statement kind of implies.
There's the money back program.
There was a tweet that ACR put out, I believe on Friday. And they said, "We are following the conversation about our bot challenge and monitoring the play of our network. At this time, we can confirm nobody has completed the challenge." Sorry, this is jumping ahead. This is actually getting into the challenge itself rather than the statement they put out, which we read on Friday, with regard to potentially issuing refunds. But basically, like, you know, Nagy seems to be pretty hard pressed to say, like, if it's found that there's a lot of botting taking place, I'm going to make it right and refund that money, which, you know, looking at the other sites, that hasn't been the case thus far. So it will be interesting to see what happens with regard to refunds. Now, as far as the bot challenge goes, the statement goes on to read, "For clarity, there are only a few basic requirements to complete the challenge. Create a bot that can pull money out of our player economy," which was them moving the goalpost. That was never the initial statement.
I mean, the first statement was like, there are no bots on our site.
Yeah, but then I'm saying like what Moneymaker said.
Right, and then it changed to now make a bot that takes money.
Well, it was still both the same. Moneymaker basically said, "I'm so confident in our security that no bot will be able to be up and running for 5,000 hands," and he just left it at that. It didn't matter if the bot won or lost. I guess that, you know, it was demonstrated rather quickly that a losing bot could be created in no time, as was demonstrated by the Range Trainer Pro Dev and a few others. So then it said create a bot that could pull money out of our player economy. So basically create a winning bot.
People won the challenge too much because they could just make a bot that could last 5,000 hands.
Yeah, complete at least 5,000 hands without being detected by our security protocols. Be prepared to provide information to our team to improve protocols in the future, and publicly identify yourself in order to provide transparency and credibility in the community. So this is a little bit all contradictory, because how do you identify yourself without self-reporting prior to the 5,000 hands being completed? I guess maybe you just play the 5,000 hands first.
You do.
But then how do you prove to ACR that you botted for 5,000 hands? Right? Even if, I mean, you would have to have like a 360 cam.
Like a double camera where it's you at the computer,
screen
not
recording,
touching the mouse.
Yeah, screen recording, and then like a 360 cam that demonstrates like it's all automated somehow.
Right.
Is a lot of fucking bells and whistles and hoops that seemed like they were kind of coping for the initial challenge, which was obviously going to be decimated.
Which was just make a bot that can last on security.
Yeah.
Okay, we all did that in 30 minutes.
In any event, all of it was very tone deaf, because we know that there are commercial bots for sale out there that maybe they can't make it through the 5K hand detection, but like with a little bit tweaking and somebody who's pretty sharp, I imagine that they could, you know, take that shell and probably do what they do. But also it's like, this is so dismissive of what's already being stated, that there are hundreds, possibly thousands of bots that have been caught elsewhere by the original poster on 2+2, Tyler. And ACR is just kind of turning a blind eye, saying like, nope, not us. Our security's too good. And again, you know, maybe it's one of those things where, you know, Chris was kind of going through it. He has a lot of pride and loyalty to ACR. He's just kind of the face and is regurgitating things that are being passed down the pipe. So it's very reasonable that like he's just not enough in the know to have the confidence that he exuded there. Eventually, WPN realized that they had made a mistake. Infiltrating their site with a bunch of bots that are taking money from regular customers obviously is not the look that you're looking for.
Right.
So the statement was, we owe you an apology. After listening to your feedback, it's clear that our recent decision to initiate the bot challenge on our poker site has caused significant concern within our player community. The overwhelming feedback against this challenge has made us reassess our approach. Our intention behind the bot challenge was to test the robustness of our security systems and showcase the advancements made by our game integrity team, which, for what it's worth, like, there are infinite ways to stress test this kind of stuff, and doing it in a public challenge is maybe one of the worst, unless it's in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Right?
You know how there's like hackathon?
Yeah.
You basically just gave the hackathon people actual money to do something.
The thing with, the thing when it comes to like hackathon or whatever the case may be, generally, like, I guess this may not be true with like white hat hackers all across the board, but like when you're talking about stress testing systems, usually you do it in some sort of controlled environment, like what CMU did with the heads up challenge, right? That was a controlled environment where it was all ran at Carnegie Mellon. Everything was in house, and it was just like the real time players playing against the computer, and we were going to measure and see like how everybody did over the long run, right? You don't want to just have people running rampant while your site is still up and operating for business.
Right. It's not like they shut their site down for a week to do it or whatever.
Right. Because it's like,
it was like, hey, take money from people who are putting it into the economy.
Yeah, it's like, if you're wrong, this is like, this is such a risky bet that you're just absolutely right. And the risk reward is so terrible because if you're wrong, you might lose your business. Right? Like if you're just blatantly wrong, people might open their eyes and say like, cash me the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. What if someone went in with good intentions, like, I'm going to prove that I can do this, and then all of a sudden it was like, wow, this is too easy and I'm winning. I'm just going to keep it running.
Right,
and not say
exactly.
anything.
Exactly. And just not say anything.
Yeah.
Like, they
It's
just print.
insane.
Just wins
And the thing
5
is,
big blinds per 100
Yeah.
1-2 and
Now
says,
you incentivize someone to create a bot.
Yeah, now all of a sudden
they never would have done that in
they
the
have a
first
whole
place.
farm running.
Yeah.
They have one of 27 Rampage aliases out there.
shout out to Bot Farm.
Shout out to Rampage. But yeah, it's like, and the thing is like the reward, if you're right, is nearly nothing.
Right.
It's just that a bunch of people in the community weren't capable to build something sophisticated enough over a short period of time to actually break your security.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean your security is unbreakable.
Right.
Now give it to people that can do that, and there's an issue.
Give them a month, give them 6 months. You know what I mean? It's like eventually some level of sophistication is going to come through, and that's what we're accusing you of, is that a sophisticated bot ring has been running for quite some period of time and taking a lot of money out of the ecosystem. It's not what can you make overnight and compete against one another for this very pedestrian prize over just like, raking the community over the coals.
Or just stop starting for millions.
Right. So, I mean, I guess good on them for making the correction.
I didn't hear the
too
part,
little too late.
I didn't hear the part where I got my money back, though.
Yeah, so that apparently is like still, they're investigating it, I guess.
Like $20.
Who knows? I mean, like, look, if all of this shakes out and ACR makes a statement saying like there were no bots and nobody's been banned and there will be no refunds, I believe that at that point, like, it can no longer be a trusted site because there's just way too much evidence.
All hope is lost.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want it to be public yet, and I don't know what he's necessarily going to do with it. But Patrick Howard's like combed through the data, and he like sent me a full report of like what this looks like. There are just so many glaring inconsistencies between human play and what we're seeing. So it's just like this wouldn't take much for a non blind security team to be able to comb through and just say, oh, we have a problem. We have a clear problem here. And it may be a little bit challenging to decipher like who is actually a bot and who is just like somebody that might be like playing similarly stats wise. But at the end of the day, like, I think it's abundantly clear that there is a problem that needs to be fleshed out. The other aspect of this bot challenge that we need to discuss is what happened with Range Trainer Pro Dev, who created the first bot and we thought won the challenge. It seems as though what ultimately came of this was he accidentally self-reported by asking for clarity on the challenge. So he got through like 1,700 hands and apparently like, in the process reached out and said like, what are all the boxes I have to check in order to win this challenge? Because like he basically said, how do I prove to you that I'm botting successfully? Right? Like, what does it look like? I can't just send you hand histories. I could be playing them.
I'm here to collect my free money.
Right. Like I can't just send you a snapshot of it botting for a few hands because I could manually play 4,999 and then just bot for one and send you a snapshot. So he wanted clarity from Moneymaker, and in the process, they flagged his account. Obviously. And
hey, so I'm botting on your site. Oh, you're gone.
Right, he should have did it on a different account, so they didn't know which account it was.
But the thing is, he needs to be able to take the money out. So.
Yeah, but I mean, he's multi-account, but he's also botting. So
right, but they allowed the botting.
Yeah. I know.
You can't break all the TOCs.
Well, it should be like that. Should how it should be. It should be like I'm going to create an account to bot, and then. It's not me.
Well, let me tell you, Brian, that is how it is.
Yeah.
That's precisely what they're doing.
I understand, but that's what the challenge should have been.
Right.
So that you can just say, hey, I'm doing this, but you don't know which account it is.
Well, if that doesn't speak to how stupid...
The challenge shouldn't exist in the first place.
No, right. I'm just saying.
If that doesn't speak to how stupid the initial challenge was,
exactly.
I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Effectively, Matt basically came out and he spoke his piece. I think he does feel a little bit cheated because he also then... created a bot that adhered to the new rules. It was very clearly profitable.
I'll do it again.
Maybe they'll give him a Triton package.
As he was about to get that up and running, they basically rugged him and said, like, we're not doing the contest anymore, man. You guys proved your fucking point, okay? Clearly, we're susceptible to bots.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Everybody go look at Rampage's Twitter. His timeline is more important. We closed his account. Let's all just discuss that.
Yeah.
That's a much bigger deal for the time being.
They don't give package to him. They give the package to the bot.
That's right. The bot gets it.
The bot gets to
the
play
bot gets to go play.
I think we should bring back battle bots, and we should just have people running sims against one another.
Yeah.
Battle bots in the poker community.
So if it wasn't enough,
but wait, there's more.
There's more. Rampage, which by the way, like, what the fuck are we doing, Ethan? Like, I love you as a person, but you're a fucking idiot. You don't get to spend your time.
How many times have you said that phrase?
Too many. Too many. I truly love him as a human being, but god damn it, man, do better. You don't get to complain that a site is rigged and then play on Sundays there.
Yeah.
Stop playing. All of you. If you think a site is fucking rigged or botted or cheating or whatever the case may be, stop fucking dumping your money into shit coins. Stop buying Egg Slut at peak.
Egg Dog.
Whatever, man. I don't care. Just it sounds like something I don't want a piece of. Like we just have to have a little bit higher of an expectation here. So Rampage apparently fired up ACR again yesterday after some time away.
Average Sunday enjoyer.
I guess expecting to do better. Can you scroll down on this tweet? Okay. I just didn't know.
Please contact the management staff.
Right. So he logged back on. He was deepish in the 600.
630. Sunday 630.
Yeah, Sunday 630, 500K. Which shout out to Rob Kuhn, ACR Pro. He shipped it for 100K.
Sick.
Obviously because he got Rampage banned. Yeah. Otherwise, Rampage was going to win the whole fucking thing. That's clear. I'm joking if that's not obvious. Anyway, with like 30% of the field left, they banned Rampage's account. We didn't get a lot of the public details. I have some suspicions as to why it happened, but it's not my place to say. In any event, I guess him and Nagy spoke, smoothed things over, and he was compensated some amount for his stack in the 630. It looks like it was basically around $2,000 or $4,000. I don't know. Whatever. So now the biggest YouTube star that our community currently has outside of Brad Owen is banned from the site that has a bot ring on it, taking out millions of dollars. You can't write this shit.
Can't make it up.
Honest to God. Like, everybody, take a deep fucking breath. Take a week off, mate. Everyone, just take a week off. One Sunday is all it would take. Everybody just take a Sunday off.
Hashtag, what about hashtag never miss a Sunday?
You know what you should do on Sunday? Watch the fucking Steelers.
Watch the Steelers this Sunday coming up 1 p.m. versus the Buffalo Bills. Take your Sunday off of ACR.
Enjoy yourself. Have yourself a beer.
Right.
Maybe get a terrible towel to wave.
I know I'm a broken record, but you got to squeeze these sites a little bit if you actually want to see some level of change enacted.
Yeah,
if you just continue to play and everything is exactly the way it is, they're going to do nothing.
It's kind of what's going on with the GG stuff and guarantees, where people are upset about rake, but at the same time they still hit guarantees.
Yeah.
Where it's like if the community doesn't actually do something about it, as a business, it makes sense to do what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, like, you just have to kind of be the guy who says, like, I don't care if there's an overlay. I don't need to be in the mix. You know what I mean? And I'm talking from a very privileged position. I don't play any of these sites. I don't need to play any of these sites. You know, if this were my livelihood, I would probably have to do a lot more risk reward analysis. But we're just so sloppy. You know, it's getting to the point where it's like, as risk increases and reward naturally decreases because we're being stolen from or there's more cheating or whatever, it seems like as risk increases, reward decreases, arrogance from our side also increases. Like, there's no readjustment to the risk reward analysis.
It's not like, oh shit, I could actually be losing. It's these people are losing, but I'm still winning.
Right. And it's like, you know, dating back to when Rampage first called them out, like, your graph was straight down, bro. Like, maybe your suspicions are right. Chill. Just, you know, go play live. Touch grass. Let's all get outside a little.
It's the beauty of what first could be.
Right. Yeah, and it's the allure of chasing the six-figure score. And I get it. I totally understand. I hope that we can do better. And one man who is trying to do better is Soheb. He's trying to compile a list of grievances that we can submit to the sites. He's trying to unify the community in some sort of way. Obviously, like, a poker union is never going to happen. But I do highly encourage everybody to kind of get on board. When people, you know, take the lead in these grassroots initiatives, it's worth supporting. Even if you don't intend on necessarily following through, even if you don't intend to being a big voice or a part of this, like, it's a good starting point. And I think that, like, you know, they deserve our attention far more so than showing up to play again at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, right? So big shout out to Soheb. Appreciate what you're doing out there. Hopefully more people will follow the lead. I will be curious to see how much of like the cash out process gets slowed as people kind of lose their faith a little in the online poker community. And again, like, I don't think this is permanent. I don't think this is long term. I do think that the people in charge are heavily incentivized to get this shit right. Yeah. To earn the trust back of the community and to ensure that, you know, it comes back bigger and better than ever. But I also think that we're at a point now with the community where we have a little bit of leverage. We have the ability to speak on this. We have the power to now kind of speak with our dollars and hit them where it hurts. And I just highly encourage everybody to be considerate of that.
Yeah,
you know?
It makes sense that online gets a lot less action every Sunday.
It's just kind of tough not to, you know?
Yeah, live poker is great. This stuff doesn't happen as much, and sure, rake might be a little bit high, but it's a protected environment. And at the very least, you're not getting botted.
Rake's a little bit high, but fields are a little bit soft, you know?
A lot of it soft.
There's no bots. There's no bots in live.
There are no bots in live.
Shout out to David Coleman for winning the Venetian.
Big shout out to Coleman, former WSOP reg. All right, let's briefly touch on a few of the other scams and whatnot that have.
Oh, there's more?
There's more.
Does getting stone bubbled count as a scam?
No.
Kind of.
Play better.
Yeah. Just fold.
Patrick
Just fold
Howard
your way
last
to the money.
week. Patrick Howard last week. Yeah, just listen to Nikki. You know, it's ICM is very important. You know, you can just fold.
Secure the cash.
If you just fold, you always win.
The tortoise knows.
It's not like you run out of chips or anything.
Just fold.
Not like the blinds go up. Or
Yes.
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. Just fold.
You don't lose 2.5 blinds per orbit.
All right.
You know how much a min cash is? Way more than $0.
That's true.
Sometimes it's less than the buy-in.
Sometimes it is.
It's more than 0.
Patrick Howard put a post out last week. He said, this is to raise awareness around the apparent spike of collusion on Ignition and Bodog. Ignition and Bodog have been taking a hit a lot over the last 3 to 6 months. We haven't really talked about it too much because I think it's one of the smaller of the majors, if you even consider it one of the major sites. But I do know that it's where, like, a lot of the stables and the coaching for profits had been kind of employing their students to go play, and a lot of that had been getting reduced, as far as my understanding goes, from speaking with some of the people that were involved in that. And a lot of it was just based off of this fear of collusion, botting, RTAing, whatever the case may be. It doesn't seem as though Ignition has a very high standard of security, nor does it seem like they do a very good job of paying their debts.
No, yeah, he can pay me at some point.
Pay Landon.
Pay this man
money.
his money.
I stone bubble the tournament. What they owe me is basically this cash of a stone bubble.
Okay.
So.
Ship it.
Did you stone bubble a tournament this weekend?
Remember when I asked him if he was in the muck about anything?
Yeah, he's in the fucking muck.
Yeah, of course he's in the fucking muck.
I'm
Trying to crawl his way out.
0 for 7's not fun.
He's
but
just
we
belly
move.
aching.
We move.
So Patrick says, in the past, Ignition has generally done a good job of policing games, in his opinion, and has offered generous refunds when cheating has occurred. Lately, collusion has reached what I consider to be nearly unplayable levels. No one in my network has been issued a refund despite consistently reporting blatant collusion. I imagine at this point, it's just getting to a point where it's too costly to refund because it's happening at such a high rate. And I think that this is probably true of the apps too, and we'll get into that story next. But you can see he gives an example of a hand history here where basically on the river, a hand that probably shouldn't ever put money in finds a way to call and then back jam in order to get the best hand to fold once he has shown interest in the pot.
Top set's going to be a hard one to fold.
Right. But it did. It did find a fold. And queens with a club ultimately ends up making a winner here. So the obvious assumption here, if you go through the hand history, is that player 5 and player 1 are working together in some sort of capacity. They ultimately squeeze out player, whoever had the set, the hero.
Player aces, bro.
Yeah, the hero. They ultimately squeeze the hero out on the river, where the hero player 5 checks with queens. Player 1 with Jack 10, no club, chooses to bet $400. The hero calls $400. Then player 5 raises all in for a min raise of $800, and player 1 rejams. Now the rejam wasn't for a lot, even though he's rejamming for like 3K. I think the hero only had like 500 or 600 behind, so it wasn't a ton. But when you face bet, call, min raise all in, 3-bet re-raise, a set doesn't feel very good here.
No.
You expect someone to have a flush.
Someone's got a flush.
And when they both show down one pair less than top pair, I think it's justifiable to be a little bit sus. Now, obviously, this is one anecdote. I would imagine that if pressed, Patrick has a whole host of these to demonstrate. But they're not going to be best served in a Twitter thread. He does have a couple other ones. If we scroll down there's a couple more hand histories I'm not going to go through. I just trust that he's pretty sharp about this stuff. He's the data guy, and I imagine he has a collection of these types of hands. So Ignition, another site now that we have to kind of hold their feet to the fire and follow along to see if these collusion rings are being cleared up at all, and to be a little bit worrisome of RTA as well, especially because of the anonymous aspect of it. And I think that was something where we weren't really clear what was going to be best for the community at large. Is it to run an anonymous site where no one has screen names, or is it best to run a real name site? And previously, I was kind of on the side of anonymous because it does protect the Rex a little bit. There's no bum hunting, or at least there's less bum hunting. And, there are a lot of small factors why anon is good. It keeps the pool a lot healthier. You're not able to get exploitative data on specific players. So like a lot of the data mining problems where, certain players are just being mined and hunted, that can't really happen. But the pool still gets data mined, and you lose the ability to hold really any of the cheaters accountable, right? So I truly think that real name is the direction that online has to go. And it needs to be coupled with a much stronger KYC. We spoke about this a lot on Friday, but if you're getting a lot more detail, you're making it harder to create accounts, then it becomes a lot more challenging for these bot rings to come to be. It becomes a lot easier for you to find collusion rings whenever you're dealing with real names, as well as RTA, rings or whatever you want to call it, where people are clearly like breaking rules. So I think security needs help at this point. And it needs to come from the site side, the management side, saying like, look, what can we do to make our security more robust? And I think a lot of that's just going to be creating layers at the sign up point, which companies don't want to do because, you don't want to make it harder for people to give you your money.
Right.
You know?
Of course.
You want to make it as easy as
If
possible.
they feel like they're getting cheated, then you don't get any money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's also very difficult to like deal in Bitcoin and crypto if you're doing pretty stringent KYCs, but we will see, because this is where we are. With regard to the apps, I was kind of mentioning that there was potential collusion rings and bot rings taking place there. Lucas Bazilia, I think that's right. Sure. He put out a tweet demonstrating a couple videos of these rings in action. So he said, scam alert in PPP poker, X poker, bot plus collusion, 3 to 4 players in the same table.
What the
So that's the second video. That's the potential bot ring.
Look at this operation.
Yeah, all of these tables are just automated. You can see there's no human touch. These are just all logged in and automated. So they're botting. God. I imagine they're getting like stupid rake back also. As usually that's a byproduct of being in these high rake apps.
Look at all those phones.
So many phones.
So many phones.
He said, I'll be leaving 3 graphs for comparison where in PPP poker, I fluctuate 95 to 100 buy-ins on the green line, while in Supreme, which is a fair game, I never fluctuate more than 35 buy-ins. So basically, like, he has one game that he's certain is fair, and his standard deviation is like 35 buy-ins. Or maybe 3 standard deviations, I guess, is 35 buy-ins. Whereas like he's in other ones where he's fluctuating like roughly 100 buy-ins that he's not so sure are fair. He said, I just come to warn you not to play in this place. And in the case of Club GG, that there is a mafia of bots and collusions. I also expect more from support. And that's why I already mentioned to provoke some, or to provoke GG.
Bot mafia.
Yeah, it's a mafia. They're all out there, man.
That's a good screen name, actually.
He beat me to the punch.
That would be a really good screen.
Bot Mafia.
Yeah, so like when we're looking at his graphs, the one from the fair game looks pretty normal, where he's winning like 5 big blinds per 100. The ones where he's losing or winning small, one he's winning like 2 big blinds per 100. The other one he's losing like 8. The variations are just like all over the place. So I think the real notable one is how much he's losing compared to EV. Yeah, I don't know. It's just pretty wild. Like the gap between the yellow line and the green line is pretty substantial, I would think, and worth noting. Usually those run somewhat close to one another.
I mean, sometimes you have samples where you just get fucked, but yeah. Sometimes it's not the case.
This looks like it's 70,000 hands. Pretty substantial sample. And the standard deviation here is just like pretty wild. In any event, be safe out there, kids. Nobody thinks the apps are safe. It's insane if you do. You need to know literally every single human being that you're playing against and trust that they're not doing anything shady. Because let's be honest, like, even if you're doing something as unsophisticated as running GTOw Wizard, when it comes to the apps, there's absolutely going to be no security against that.
No.
Right? Like, even if, in my opinion, and granted I have maybe a sour taste when it comes to apps, but I'm pretty confident if you catch somebody in like Bros or whatever with GTOw Wizard Fair Play Check and you send that to support, you're going to get fucking crickets in return. Yeah. So be very weary. These apps weren't necessarily, be very leery. I always get those two confused. These apps weren't necessarily originally made for profit. They're made under the guise of being free play apps where they're just, trying to profit off of in-app purchases. But obviously they've turned into gambling apps, whether that was the intention or not. That's where we're at. And it's going to be sketchy moving forward when there's no regulation. Like, this isn't even gray market. This is black market for sure. It's everywhere. It's worldwide. You have no fucking clue what the player pool looks like, what they're capable of, and what security on the other end is. I would just be highly, I mean, of all in the rank order of like what I would play online, it's regulated sites first and foremost. If you're lucky enough to be one of the few regulated areas, Then, the more gray sites that are pushing for regulation, like Stars Rest of World, Party Rest of World, GG, maybe I guess one step below that would be like ACR and Ignition. And then apps. And I shouldn't even say and then apps. I would say like I would consider playing pinochle for a living. I would consider professional solitaire, possibly taking up chess as a hobby.
Counting
maybe
cards.
Yeah, maybe moving into live. Maybe even
Egg
professional
slut trader. What was the egg slut?
I would consider egg slut. I would consider a professional blackjack career or an advantage slot play. And then finally, if I had so much money that I just wanted to light it on fire, I would actually play the app games. That's probably the.
You're just trying to get your gamble fix, so you know you're a dog.
I think that's the right rank order. You're definitely losing more on the app games gambling than you would at like blackjack, not even knowing how to count.
I think I'm going to sign up for Kessler's AP school.
What's his AP school? Advanced slots.
It's still being.
But it's advantage gambling.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Kessler's actually sharp at some shit, to be quite honest.
Hey man, Conrad keeps coming back with new kitchenware.
That's true. He does have a lot of Caesar's gifts.
He's got a lot of griddles at the house. We have. Oh, that reminds me. I have to get my gift from downstairs from you. I think it's still at the office.
Okay, we have somehow we have 2 more to power through.
Oh my God.
One is an RTA in real time that was posted to Reddit. Shout out to Ryan LaPlante who shared this. It's a video, if you click in the thread, of somebody real time using real time assistance to make the nuts in PLO. So, probably didn't need a machine for this one. It has an overpair and a gut shot, drills the gutty, whatever. But in any event, you can see this is very simplistic. It works very well. Not much time. I mean, this is fast. This is fast. Like this, are you able to click the video? These decisions are being made in seconds. I don't know what the actual program is that's being ran here. I don't know if this is a commercial RTA that people are able to buy through those shady Discord links, or if this is something that whoever posted this just wanted to self-report. But that's fast. That's like as fast, if not faster, than the GTOw Wizard.
Look at that.
I mean, this is like giving you a response in 3 to 5 seconds. So like you're not even like burning time bank. You're not even necessarily doing anything that would elicit some sort of security response, unless they're able to see it running in the background somehow. This is scary, man. This is very scary, especially for PLO, a much more complicated game to kind of, maybe it's not more complicated to build RTA. I'm just less familiar with it, so I don't know how sophisticated the solvers are. And there isn't something as simple as like GTOw Wizard that has a pre-solved database. But anyway, that's out there. And in coordination with this, there was another how-to where a link was posted on Twitter. This is in response to Charlie Carroll asking if something was valid. And Jamie Scott Lowe posted, interesting to see this new method. People just use different strategies for sites like Stars and have been doing it for years without naming names. I went down a rabbit hole, and there's a few high-stakes guys, I'd say with high certainty, that are doing this both to learn spots very quickly and in general to ensure ROI. And if they are quick learners, they've also gotten the world's best learning tool in real time, which is what we accused Ali and Jake of, right? Like, you become world-class whenever you get to make a few 100,000 decisions with the aid of a trainer.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you just got to play the trainer for like 500,000 hands, but you were getting paid to do it.
Right.
You were just getting paid like 2 big blinds, like 2 big blinds per 100 hands.
Pretty sick deal.
That'd be a fucking sick deal.
Normally you pay to lose money to get better at the game.
Right. So it looks like this method is they run a third-party software going through poker. I don't really want to advertise for this. But anyway, there's a few third-party softwares that they run in the background. They show a graphic where, GTOw plus X, GTOw plus, Poker Snowy, Poker OCR, whatever, are on the cold machine. And it's then connected to a laptop, which is running the client. And then there's a Reddit thread. I think it's Reddit thread. Maybe it's 2+2 thread. Showing like a test of this in action where they're using an HDMI adapter. And then it looks like there's a third HDMI port of some sort. I'm not sure. Let's see. Let me see if I can read. Oh, it's a splitter. So yeah, I'm not really sure what the splitter does or what the purpose of it is. I haven't combed through all of this, but I imagine that it just has something to do with making it undetectable. We knew about all this.
This ain't new.
So like Charlie tagged us and said, can somebody fact check this and make sure it's true? Todd Watellis replied and said, yes, this is possible to do. I haven't personally tested it myself, and I don't really want to. But I would imagine, you know what? Maybe I should, because I don't care about playing on these online sites. I should just test to see if like the security catches it.
Are you gonna beat the bot challenge? It might give you 100K.
No, I'm not. But I do think it would be an interesting experiment to like ethically do this, where you just like try to run zero, like, you know, whatever, you do the thing that wins you the least or breaks you even, but you see if you can actually keep the RTA running in real time without getting caught. Because I imagine that you probably can. And personally, like,
does that mean you have to beat rake or not?
Who cares? I'm just saying, like,
I see in the sense of giving the site money for it, but sure.
Well, I'm just, whatever, do it for your rake back. My point is like, you don't have to actually do what the RTA says. You know what I mean? Like, you can just run RTA and just fold every time. Who cares? But I would just be curious to see that if like it would be nice for somebody who speaks on this all the time to be able to come from a place of authority of like, oh, I tried this and it works. Maybe I'll like fire it up on some play money sites.
Yeah.
Test some of this shit. But the thing is like, if I have the ability to just try this stuff out, certainly the security teams in these sites
they can do it too.
Are privy to all the commercial products that are out there,
if not more.
Right. They should be.
That's
right?
their job.
They should have people combing through the Discords. Like, people are spamming all the time this type of stuff. I don't know.
Gotta have an ear to the streets.
I don't know, man. My faith goes down every single day.
More down than zero?
Down so bad. It's down so bad. Let's end on a little bit of a light note, because this one was kind of funny. And that just shows how bad it is that we're laughing at somebody cheating in real time.
Right.
But there was a streamer who was caught using RTA during the PokerStars Million. If you want to run that clip, he's just literally twitching and at the same time pulling up GTOw Wizard in his window and just like running it.
This is a little bit old, but yeah.
Yeah. It happened a couple weeks ago. But there's since been a follow-up.
Jeez.
Bro caught himself in 4K.
Oh, I didn't realize that was him coughing. I thought that was Guapo. I was gonna say, mute your mic, bro. I mean, like, this hand basically plays out where he makes. Okay, he doesn't speak English. You can just mute it.
You think he rolled for that low frequency 3-bet?
I don't know, man. Maybe. I mean, if he's using GTOw Wizard, I imagine he has a randomizer in the background too, right? So there was an update as of December 14th. It says Stars posted this in a Discord. Obviously, it wasn't handled great to begin with, but props for rectifying ASAP. So the post says, "Hi all. I want to address the recent case of a PokerStars player on Twitch. Multiple clips have been shared of this player accessing preflop charts on stream whilst playing on PokerStars, which is what they thought they were initially punishing him for. So they only gave him a 2-week ban initially, and there was outrage over it. Now, we were on Christmas break, so we didn't report it, but here we are now. They said, although this case has been raised to us, we also had already been aware of it and certain initial action had been taken. That was the 2-week ban. However, after further review, a la seeing all these fucking videos of him just getting caught in 4K, it's evident that this case is more serious than initially judged. We have therefore taken the decision to enforce a more severe punishment. When determining the severity of offenses, we make a distinction between isolated instances of using simple references materials, such as static charts, and other type of real-time assistance. In this case, the distinction was not correctly applied. As an example, if we identify a player using simple preflop reference material whilst playing on an isolated occasion, we would issue a short timeout from our games. However, if that player was identified or using browsing tools or services that provided more complete overview of the game they were playing, we would issue a much more severe punishment. This could range from a longer timeout to a permanent ban and confiscation of account funds. Going forward, we will conduct a review of our internal process to ensure this does not happen again. Browsing of preflop charts and or using RTA is strictly prohibited and strong action is indeed warranted. Our sincere apologies for the initial review, which was not adequate for the infraction in question and did not meet our high standard."
Man, my issue with the whole funds getting confiscated is it just goes back to the site, right?
No, it doesn't.
Where does it go?
They distribute it to the people who were cheated.
How?
By giving refunds. What do you mean how?
It just doesn't seem like, man, it's just tough when like someone is actually caught cheating and like takes a lot of money from a site to then give an effective near ICM value, whatever it is, for what the refund was worth.
They just bump people up in the player pool.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal because what if you got scammed by the guy?
That's not how this works, man. You can't play revisionist history. Like, all you can do is just make right to the best ability that you can. You can only, redistribute whatever he's taking. Can't redistribute EV.
We got to rerun the tournament.
Yeah, run it back. You fucking kids, man. You're so
Game
tough.
is gone.
I think that this is actually a really great response by Stars. I think this is a stark contrast to the response from ACR.
Yeah, it does just stink, though, you playing a massive chip lead pot versus a guy that's cheating.
Stop playing. Just stop fucking playing.
You gotta stop playing online.
Stop playing online.
If you're playing online, you're getting cheated.
Like, just stop.
Tell it to Ethan.
I did earlier. Rewind the tape. Just, you got to give it up, man. It's time. It's time we move on. We can't live like this team.
Can't.
Come to the Bellagio. And you know what? While you're at it, play cash.
Go to the Jewel.
Play cash. We've given up. The game is gone.
You got to play cash. Tell it cash or get scammed.
That's right. All right. I've said my piece. I hope that I haven't become too much of a doomser, because I truly do think that, like, big picture, we're going to see a resurgence online. I just want it to be safe. And I don't want what's happening on the apps to become a commonplace on the sites, which is the direction that we're headed. Reminder to everybody that we have a Twitter Tuesday out. What are your 2024 poker resolutions? Head over to the Only Friends podcast Twitter at onlyfriends_pod and let us know what your resolutions are for the year. We'll read the best ones on air tomorrow for our hashtag Twitter Tuesday. Also, don't forget, a new episode of Poker Out Loud will be posted to the Solve for Why site today.
It's up.
Okay, it is already up and running. Lamanna's on top of shit. You can find that at solveforwhy.io. If you are not already a member, feel free to sign up to the all-in access pass. You can get that for $49.99 a month. Be sure to check out Season 10, as well as the 9 previous seasons of Poker Out Loud. That's going to do it for us today. We're going to be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. per usual. Only 2 more shows with Guapo this week. We lose him after Wednesday.
That's right. Berkey's on the switcher.
My guy is just taking a fucking vacation.
He's taking a month off,
Well deserved, man.
It is well deserved.
The show might look a little different while he's gone, but we're still aiming for that online poker panel on Wednesday. We're going to be doing a state of affairs. The timing might be a little bit different. We may have to do early morning or late at night, because Pads is in England. John Andreas is in the Philippines. 2 very different time slots. So we're trying to work it out. But be sure to stay tuned for that. The aim is Wednesday. Hopefully Landon will be here to join us also, give his insight as a young up-and-comer who just realized that the dream is dead today.
Online cash has been great for me, man.
Yep, dream's dead. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys all 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Peace.